Some British desserts are so overrated you'd think people were being paid to lie about them. And today, we're ranking 11 UK desserts from worst to best, and some beloved classics are about to get destroyed. We're talking soggy textures, chemical aftertastes, desserts held together purely by nostalgia, and puddings so dense they could double as building materials. I've eaten through every single one, so you can see the truth. And number 4? A national treasure with a flaw so obvious, yet everyone pretends it doesn't exist. Number 1 will shock you because it's not the dessert most people claim as their favorite. It's the one that actually delivers. Number 11. Spotted Dick, the worst. Let's start with the disappointment. Spotted Dick sits at the bottom for reasons that should be obvious to anyone who's actually eaten it recently, instead of just remembering it from childhood. This is dense sponge, heavy suet, raisin overload, and one-note sweetness that goes nowhere. The complaints are consistent: dry middle, stodgy mouthfeel, claggy texture that sticks to your mouth like concrete. Public reviews call it one of the least enjoyable British puddings, and they're not wrong. Multiple rankings place it near the bottom, and for good reason. The currants suspended in plain pudding aren't lighting anyone's fire. It's searching for flavour in a brick. Even custard can't save it, and custard saves everything. That should tell you something. Here's the real question. Do people eat it out of nostalgia or genuine desire? Because if you're being honest with yourself, would you choose Spotted Dick over anything else on this list? Would you see it on a menu and think, yes, that's exactly what I want? Or would you order it because you remember it from school dinners and you're curious if it's as bad as you remember? The answer is usually the latter. The name is funny. That's the only thing it has going for it. Beyond that, this is a pudding that exists purely because Britain refuses to let go of tradition, even when that tradition tastes like sweetened sadness wrapped in suet. Number 10. Eton Mess. The reputation disconnect is real with this one. Many people love Eton Mess in theory, fewer love it in practice. The concept sounds brilliant: meringue, strawberries, cream. Simple, elegant, refreshing. But here's what actually happens when you make it. The crushed meringue turns soggy within minutes. The strawberries bleed moisture into everything. The whipped cream loses structure and becomes a sweet soup. The presentation relies on chaos, which is supposed to be charming, but strip away the story about how it was invented at Eton College, and what are you left with? Reviews often call it a sweet lump with no balance. The textures don't complement each other, they fight. The sweetness has no contrast, no sharpness to cut through the sugar bomb. People complain that it's too sugary with nothing to balance it out, and they're right. There's no acidity, no bitterness, no salt, just sweet meringue, sweet cream, and sweet strawberries collapsing into each other. Is this a dessert or an accident in a bowl? Because it genuinely looks like something that fell off the counter and someone decided to serve it anyway. Eton Mess works as a concept. As an actual eating experience, it's disappointing more often than not. The only time it works is when it's made fresh and eaten immediately, which defeats the purpose of making it ahead for parties or events. Apple crumble. Now we're getting controversial. Apple crumble has iconic status in Britain. It's a dessert everyone claims to love. But expose the problems and suddenly people get defensive. The truth is, apple crumble is wildly inconsistent. Soggy crumble topping that tastes like wet oats, bland apple base with no depth, too much cinnamon, not enough cinnamon, mushy center that feels like baby food. Public ratings consistently place crumble in mid-table positions, and that's generous. The texture makes or breaks it, and most versions break it. The apples either stay too firm or collapse into mush. The crumble topping either stays crispy or turns into a soggy cap that slides off when you scoop it. There's no middle ground. Why does a dessert that seems so simple go wrong so often? Because people assume it's foolproof, so they don't put in the effort. They use boring apples, forget the lemon juice, skip the butter in the topping, and wonder why it tastes like disappointment. Apple crumble has potential, but most versions never reach it. The only reason it ranks this high is nostalgia and the fact that it's salvageable with enough custard or ice cream. But if your dessert only works when you drown it in something else, is it actually good, or are you just eating custard with obstacles? Number 8. Suet puddings and steamed puds. This category combines traditional entries like treacle pudding, jam roly-poly, and various steamed suet cakes. They all share the same problems: heavy base, dense chew, slow oral collapse. These are puddings designed for people who work physical labor all day and need maximum calories. They're not designed for modern eaters who sit at desks. Modern complaints are consistent: too much, too heavy, too filling. These puddings always rely on custard to mask their flaws, and even then you're struggling to finish a portion. There's a clear divide between older eaters who defend them through nostalgia and younger eaters who avoid them entirely. The worst-rated lists consistently place these puddings low, and for rightly so. They're relics from an era when food needed to be cheap, filling, and long-lasting. Flavor was secondary, enjoyment was optional. You ate them because they were there, not because you wanted them. Ask yourself honestly, does the UK keep these puddings alive through nostalgia or actual enjoyment? Because if you removed the nostalgia factor, would anyone choose treacle pudding over something lighter, fresher, more interesting? The answer tells you everything you need to know about where these puddings belong on this list. Number 7. Trifle. Trifle is popular at Christmas. That's the only reason it ranks this high. Because outside of Christmas, who's making trifle? Who's craving it? The complaints are endless: soggy sponge that disintegrates into mush, jelly layer that ruins everything with its artificial sweetness and weird texture, overpowering cream that coats your mouth. Public rankings consistently place trifle in the low-mid tier. Arguments that trifle feels outdated aren't wrong. The weird mix of textures is supposed to be exciting, but most people call it chaotic instead. The jelly layer is the real problem. It adds nothing except childhood birthday party vibes and artificial flavoring. Here's the question nobody asks: do you actually enjoy the jelly inside? Or do you tolerate it because that's what trifle is supposed to have? Because if you removed the jelly, you'd just have a better dessert: cream, fruit, sponge. That works. Adding wobbly, artificially flavored gelatin doesn't improve anything. Trifle survives on tradition and the fact that it looks impressive in a glass bowl at Christmas dinner, but strip away the presentation and the nostalgia, and you're left with a dessert that's trying too hard, with too many layers that don't belong together. Number 6. Rhubarb crumble. Rhubarb crumble has high cultural relevance, especially in northern England, but it's deeply flawed in ways apple crumble isn't. Rhubarb divides people hard. The sharpness, the stringy fibers, the overly sour centers that make your face twist. Many rankings place it high for flavor but low for accessibility, and that's the problem. People either love rhubarb crumble or avoid it completely. There's no middle ground. The sugar imbalance is constant. It swings between too sharp and too sweet, with no consistency. One bite burns your tongue with tartness, the next drowns you in sugar, trying to compensate. The texture issues are worse than apple crumble. Rhubarb releases massive amounts of liquid when cooked, turning the base into soup unless you compensate properly. Most home cooks don't compensate. They end up with crumble floating on top of pink water, with stringy rhubarb pieces hiding underneath. Which crumble deserves to sit higher? That's for you to decide. But rhubarb crumble's polarizing nature keeps it here in the middle. It's too controversial to rank higher, too culturally important to rank lower. It exists in this strange space where northern grandmas swear by it and everyone else questions why it exists. Number 5. Yorkshire Parkin. Now we're entering quality territory. Yorkshire Parkin is the ginger, molasses, oat blend that actually works when made properly. The deep flavor profile and sticky chew divide people, but those who love it genuinely love it. Some call it a masterpiece. Others say it's too dense, too dark, too intense. Regional rankings show Parkin scored well in traditional areas, but not nationally. It's a Yorkshire thing, a northern thing, tied to Guy Fawkes Night and Bonfire Night traditions. That seasonal appeal gives it cultural weight beyond just being a cake. It's part of celebrations, part of specific memories. Why did it crack the top 5 but couldn't reach higher? Because outside Yorkshire and Lancashire, most people haven't tried fresh parkin. They've had the packaged supermarket version that sits in plastic for weeks. That's not real parkin. Real parkin is sticky, moist, deeply flavoured with treacle and ginger. It improves with age, but needs to be stored properly. Have you tried a fresh version? If not, you're missing the point of this dessert entirely. Yorkshire viewers, back me up in the comments. Tell everyone what real parkin tastes like when it's made right, because this deserves more recognition nationally.
Number 4. Bakewell Tart, the shock entry. Here it comes, the shock placement. Bakewell Tart is a national icon. People assume it belongs in the top 3, maybe even top spot. The pastry base, the frangipane center, the cherry layer, and the icing on some versions. It looks perfect. It sounds perfect. But here's where it falls apart. The sweetness spike is brutal. One bite delivers so much sugar you can feel your teeth protest. The almond overload creates what people call the marzipan effect. That chemical, artificial almond flavor that coats your tongue and won't leave. The dryness risk is constant. Bakewell tarts dry out fast, turning the frangipane into something that sticks to your mouth like edible paste. Public opinion is split hard. Some rank it top tier, some rank it mid, some refuse to eat it entirely because of the almond issue. Earlier lists show Bakewell often sits near the top, but also appears in overrated desserts lists consistently. That contradiction tells you everything. Why does it land here at number 4? Because it's loved but deeply flawed. The concept is better than the execution most of the time. The shop-bought versions are chemical nightmares. The bakery versions are hit or miss, depending on who made them. Only homemade, done properly, with real almonds and proper ratios, does Bakewell tart justify its reputation. This is the shock placement. Does Bakewell deserve better? That's for you to decide. Drop your outrage in the comments.
Number 3. Sticky toffee pudding. Now we're talking. Sticky toffee pudding brings everything a dessert should. Rich sponge, date base that melts into the cake, caramel toffee sauce that soaks through every bite. It performs well in ratings consistently across all regions. This is a dessert that delivers every single time when made properly. The only issue people mention is that it's heavy, very heavy. Some consider it too sweet, too rich, too filling for a regular dessert. Fair criticism. This isn't something you eat lightly. This is commitment dessert. You finish your main, you wait 10 minutes, then you tackle this beast with ice cream or custard. But that richness is exactly why it belongs in the top 3. Sticky toffee pudding doesn't apologize for being indulgent. It knows what it is and delivers that promise completely. The dates add depth and moisture without being obvious. The toffee sauce is the real star, soaking into the sponge and creating that sticky, gooey texture that defines the dessert. Can anything beat sticky toffee pudding? Keep watching, because the top 2 are coming, and they're both British classics that earned their spots through pure consistency and universal appeal. Number 2. Apple pie. Apple pie has international appeal, but the British style holds its own. Short crust or puff pastry, spiced apple filling, balanced sweetness that doesn't overwhelm. The reliability is what puts it this high. Apple pie ranked high across multiple rankings consistently because it's hard to mess up completely. The adjustment factor matters. You can pair it with ice cream, custard, or cream depending on your mood. That versatility gives it staying power that other desserts don't have. It works hot or cold. It works for Sunday dinner or afternoon tea. It adapts. The only flaw is inconsistent pastry quality depending on who makes it. Shop-bought versions often have soggy bottoms and bland pastry. Bakery versions vary wildly. But homemade apple pie with proper pastry and well-spiced apples is near perfect. What do you pair your apple pie with? Ice cream or custard? Let us know in the comments, because we're about to reveal the champion and you might disagree completely with this choice. Number 1. Victoria Sponge, the winner. Victoria Sponge takes the crown, the purest British dessert. 2 sponge layers, jam center, cream option depending on region. Some versions add cream, some stick with jam only. Both work. The balance is what makes it untouchable. Sweetness from jam, lightness from sponge, richness from cream if included. Texture, flavor, nostalgia, simplicity. Everything aligns. Earlier data showed Victoria Sponge ranked near the top in best desserts lists consistently. It dominates cafe menus across Britain. Every bakery makes it. Every grandmother has a recipe. It performs consistently, never feels too heavy, and never disappoints when made properly. Why does it take number 1? Because Victoria Sponge represents everything British desserts should be. Uncomplicated, reliable, accessible, satisfying. It doesn't try to be fancy, it doesn't rely on gimmicks, it's just good cake with jam. That's enough. Is this your pick, or would you replace it with something else? Drop your thoughts in the comments and tell us which dessert needs to move up or down.